that Second Amendment right, that Second Amendment right away. To me, that's liberty. That's when I say liberate Virginia.
What's your response to President Trump, sir?
Well, good morning, Jake, and thanks so much for having me on. I hope you and your listeners, your viewers, are all healthy. You know, our president obviously has been unable to deliver on tests. Now he has chosen to focus on protest, and this is not the time for protest. This is not the time for divisiveness. This is time for leadership that will stand up and provide empathy, that will understand what's going on in this country of ours with this pandemic. It's the time for truth, and it's the time to bring people together. And that's what I've done as the governor of Virginia, and we're fighting a biological war. We've been asked, by the way, as governors, to fight that war without the supplies we need. And so the governors have worked together to really increase the amount of PPE that we have. We've been competing for that, unfortunately, but working collaboratively. We've worked very hard every day to increase our testing capability. And I commend the governors, but I also commend Virginians. Virginians know what this is about. They're working together. They're checking on others. Our teachers are stepping up. It's an unbelievable response. And, you know, we're fighting, we're in the middle of a health crisis right now. We're also in the middle of an economic crisis. And just as soon as we can get this health crisis behind us, we'll be able to address the economic crisis, get back to where we were, and let people get back to their normal lives.
Obviously, you signed a number of sweeping gun control measures into law in the last few weeks. And President Trump has not made any secret that he disagrees with that. But Governor Jay Inslee of Washington State says the language of liberate Virginia that you heard from President Trump, in Inslee's view, it, quote, encourages illegal and dangerous acts and, quote, could also lead to violence. Do you agree?
Well, we've had some terrible tragedies here in Virginia, Jake, with gun violence. As you know, in 2007, we lost 32 precious lives at Virginia Tech. Over the Memorial Day weekend last year, we lost 12 lives. And, you know, and I brought the legislature back to Virginia for a special session. The Republicans spent less than 90 minutes addressing gun violence. And Virginians stood up. They spoke. They said enough is enough. They said that, you know, the thoughts and prayers, we appreciate those, but we want legislators that will come to Richmond and take votes and pass laws. So I was pleased just this past week to sign 7 pieces of common sense gun legislation that will keep Virginians safe. So that's what happens when people listen and they've responded. And you know, right now, Jake, this is about this pandemic. I'll be glad to talk about gun violence and what we've done, but it's time for Virginia, for this country, to come together and address the lives that we are losing every day, and to try to put this health crisis behind us.
This week you said your state, or rather your Commonwealth, was slowing the spread of the virus, but that the peak would likely not happen until the end of the month. With coronavirus cases continuing to climb in Virginia, when do you think that the economy could potentially start to open back up?
Well, it's a great question, Jake, and I think it's something that governors wrestle with every day. Today, just as an example, we had close to 500 new cases, close to 20 new deaths, and while we're not seeing a significant increase, it looks like it's flattening out a bit, and so we would like to see at least 2 weeks of trending numbers going down. We want to make sure that we have the PPE that we need in our hospitals and our penitentiaries and our nursing homes. We want to ramp up our testing capabilities, and as soon as we see all these things coming together, we'll open up our businesses just as soon as we can, but we want to make sure that we do it responsibly and we want to do it safely.
As you know, you've been criticized for your handling of the crisis compared to your neighboring states. Robert McCartney from the Washington Post recently wrote, quote, "One might assume that a governor who spent most of his career as a physician," that's you, "would be among the first to press for quick, decisive action to combat a deadly, fast-spreading infectious disease. But one would be mistaken, and it is true that you only ordered a state of emergency after Maryland and Washington, D.C. did so. You only issued a stay-at-home order after West Virginia and Kentucky did so. Do you wish you had acted earlier?"
Well, Jake, as you said, I am a physician. I served during Desert Storm, taking care of wounded soldiers. have been in some tough situations in the ER, saving and helping children and their families. We took some very aggressive steps in Virginia. We were one of the first states to close down schools for the spring. We have a stay-at-home order through June the 10th. We've asked our hospitals and our providers to stop elective surgeries so that we can make sure that we have the bed capacity, the supplies that we need. So, we've taken some very aggressive steps. The social distancing, the good hygiene the guidelines that we've been providing, they're working in Virginia. And again, I am so proud of Virginians for what they're doing, and we're going to get through this together. And Jake, we came into this COVID-19 as a very strong Commonwealth. We were the #1 state in this great country of ours in which to do business. And I have reminded Virginians that we're going to come out of this strong as well.
The president and vice president have been saying over the past few days that the U.S. has enough testing capacity for states to begin opening back up if you feel you're ready to go into phase 1. Is that the case in Virginia? Do you have enough tests to do the tests you need to do?
Jake, that's just delusional to be making statements like that. We have been fighting every day for PPE, and we've got some supplies now coming in. We've been fighting for testing. It's not a straightforward test. We don't even have enough swabs, believe it or not, and we're ramping that up. But for the national level to say that we have what we need, and really to have no guidance to the state levels, is just irresponsible because we're not there yet.
All right, Governor Northam, thank you so much for your time. Come back. We'd love to have you on to talk about some other issues.
Thanks so much, Jake.
President Trump is pushing states to ease coronavirus restrictions, even as his own medical advisors and many governors do, including my next guest, say reopening the country right now